Okay, I'd like to call the special meeting of the Bellflower City Council to order Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025 at 9:05. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas.
Here.
Councilmember Coops,
Here.
Councilmember Morse,
Here.
Mayor Dutton.
Here.
Mayor, before we start, can I say something?
You may.
Out of order. Today is September 3rd. I just want to wish City of Bellflower a happy birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Thank you.
For the record.
For the record.
You did it
All
on
right.
Facebook already.
Of course.
Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment on the item that is on the agenda today? Not seeing any. We'll move on. All right, item 4A. Mr. Smoot, you want to introduce that?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 4A is consideration and possible action to read by title only, waive further reading, and introduce ordinance number 1449, an ordinance adopting the 2025 editions of the California Building Code, the California Residential Code, the California Electrical Code, the California Mechanical Code, the California Plumbing Code, the California Energy Code, the California Fire Code, the California Existing Building Code, the California Wildland Urban Interface Code, the California Green Building Standards Code, California Reference Standards Code, and the California Building Standards Administrative Code, making certain amendments based upon local conditions and amending the Bellflower Municipal Code to reflect such changes, and setting a public hearing for September 22nd, 2025 for a second reading and adoption of the ordinance. And with that, I'm going to ask Beth and Alan to go through the quick presentation of these of this item, and they can take it from there.
Good morning, Council. I want to thank you for calling this meeting, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. Before I start, I want to commend the staff that I work with, your staff. This transition, though that's not what we're meeting on, but I just want to make this publicly. This transition has been very productive because of your staff. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with them, and they've been very helpful to my staff. And when we come to this code, there's going to be more work, and we're also starting the new program and information gathering, and some of that happens today. And your staff has been, like I said, when I look at this isn't the only city that I've been in, of course, and I want you to know that this has actually been a pleasure. And so thank you very much for the privilege and the opportunity. Okay, so this is for the 2025 Building Codes update. As you may be aware, every 3 years the CBC is updated. This ordinance amends portions of the 2025 SC and adopts the 2025 edition of the CBSC. California law requires the City Councils conduct a public hearing before the second reading of the ordinances that adopt the CBSC by reference. Recommendation is set for the public hearing to be September 22nd, 2025. Next slide, please. So, what I want to do is go through these next two slides, these next couple of slides here, and then if we could have questions that you have on the end. This is just the big paintbrush, the overview. Basically, our changes in the 2025, the changes are related mostly to fire protection. Section 503, which we're going to adopt, that we have not been adopted before, there will be questions, and I will answer that. The other changes are solar prophylactic power systems, EV charging and storage systems, batteries, i.e. for that, EV storage, vehicle storage, and permit expiration time frame. Projects for the building, which a building permit application and building plans were submitted before the ordinance's effective date, and for which the building permits are obtained within 90 days of the effective date, would be exempt from the updated regulations, and that's standard here for this jurisdiction. And I'm not sure if the next slide take a quick look at that. So before we go into this slide, are there any questions about any specific questions? What I will open with is a general statement that nothing in updates that we're doing here aren't things that we already have implemented, either by policy or by directive. The new code doesn't really affect any specifics in general for the city of Bellflower or for permit-related costs. So that's the general overview. Let me mention Section 503. For some reason, Section 503 of the Fire Code, the reason we would want to adopt it, why I would recommend that we adopt it, is that it gives us the ability to set limits, not that we do, but the ability to set limits on fire access roads, different things that are more topographical, things that, and the reason that in the standard fire code is actually left out of the adoption, it's actually stated it's removed and it's asked whether or not cities choose to adopt this, is there are certain situations where you have high fire hazard zones, et cetera, things of that nature, that adopting it would be not advantageous, okay? Or adopting it in a certain way would not be advantageous or productive for the actual city itself and its where it exists topographically, excuse me. So 503 gives us the ability to enforce if need be, but also still be lenient. Okay, it fire access roads, the width of roads, et cetera, those kinds of things, heights for for fire trucks to be able to get in and out safely in emergency vehicles, and so it gives us that opportunity to address those and, if need be, enforce them. Okay.
Can I put in right now?
Yes.
May I? Yeah,
Yes,
thanks.
please.
So you're saying with the fire code, we can basically make it more stringent or make it less stringent at the same time? I mean, either or. We can go both ways.
Yes. The thing, what you've done here and the authority that you give the building official, he or she has the broad ability to move throughout the code. 503 just extends that, but at the same time gives us a backstop, an insurance policy. If we need to, step down, we can.
And when you say access roads, I don't think we have any, I can't think of an example of a fire access, but you're talking about like a parking lot for the fire truck to get in?
Correct, or
the,
something.
The width or a residential area when there's so many 25 feet or something.
Correct.
And the lot size is narrow, you can get to 24 maybe or something like that. Okay.
Correct, and the basic premise is 20. That's kind of the standard, and that's where we're going to stay. We have a storage facility that's currently in the process of plan review, and they have issues with that specific. There's a specific problem with that. There are ways around it. 503 gives us an option to go around to still make things safe, but still accommodate.
I guess what I'm just thinking about is like if there's a project that comes to town or a lot's getting, storage is one, and what's on it is highly volatile stuff, and there's a gray area with the county fire department, we can have our own codes to
Absolutely.
make them more stringent or less stringent.
Absolutely. Between your building official and your fire chief, you have 100%
Because there's
control.
been times I've noticed gray areas. One side of somebody says something, and the state and the county are, for example, one will say one and the other will say another, and so we can kind of
In this particular
in a gray area. Okay. Yeah.
In this particular jurisdiction, the way it is, you have full control.
Great.
There is no gray area here.
Oh, okay.
Right, and Mayor Dungeon, if I can also clarify, the portion of the fire code that we are adopting is the California codes. So it doesn't include the LA County codes,
Okay.
LA County fire codes.
Reason I brought that up because sometimes they conflicted. And then where do you go? Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So we're discussing now amendments to the code because of the electric cars that are coming out. Is that, we're not doing the whole code of everything, but because we've had new technology, we need to develop a new code. Does that sound right?
Updates to the EV code, as mentioned up there, yes, because of electric vehicles, storage, and battery storage, some of these solar building codes in California have changed, and they're just updates.
So when we have, I think about the project that is already, it's working now. It's behind the Golden Corral on Beverly Boulevard, Beverly Street. And when we put the Golden Corral in there was concerns as they wouldn't come unless they had a certain amount of parking, like 125 spaces. And we even had to go across the street and pick up some spaces that are along the freeway there to make that number. Now suddenly, there's an EV charging station there. Is that impact whether or not they're in compliance and how many that they wanted for parking spaces? And we're getting another one developed, the Gold property. When they talk to us, they talk of how there's a little flag lot on the back on Ramona that they would like to have electrical charging. So what are we using as a basis for them to be approved within the context? Because some of these things are already, one's already finished and one's coming down the pike probably. What have we been doing up until now to make sure we're safe?
Safe or compliant?
Or compliant, I guess, was the same thing.
Okay.
Because we're in a new place here. What we found out from talking to the Gold folks is that if you're within less than a mile, or maybe even less than that, you get subsidy from the federal government to put in an electrical charging place, because it doesn't really pencil out to give up that expensive property unless you have some subsidy from an outside source to make it viable. Now, so there could be more of this, is what I'm trying to say, along the 91 corridor.
I think you're going to see more of this, and the code is always behind of need, and it's always behind of reaction. We're going to see the next code cycle, most likely, more things. One thing hit the table today with the wetlands that we're going to adopt, and there may be some questions about that. But because of the Pasadena fires, because of those things, there will be changes in the fire code the next code cycle. So you're correct in your assumption. With EV, are we going to see more things, and how are we going to stay in compliance is the question. Is that correct?
And we're using the state standards.
Yeah, unfortunately, the state does govern how we're going to have to deal with some of these things with regard to EVs. The code updates, how they address these is relatively moderate, and more of them are in result to fire, excluding ADA considerations, how many parking spaces that you have to provide that have EV charging, that you have accessibility to. The code is quite clear on what is required right now. Currently, everything that is in review is compliant with the code. But I do expect more applications for EV charging and off-site EV charging. We're also going to see more applications in relative to residential EV chargers or EV-ready requirements.
So I always look at how far will they, right now, do we have a concern as to how far or how close they are to residential? With the potential of a fire hazard, and you got a house right next door, or do you have to put possibly a higher wall? I'm just thinking outside the box here, what could be expected, or do we already know what's expected?
Well, we do know what's expected as far as distances in residential. That's lined out.
Okay.
We already know what distances and requirements in storage, and that's what the new code is addressing. Some of those, especially storage, that seems to be the real issue, is storage and lithium batteries and their ability to be combustible. So we have, this may not be the most professional way to say this, but a lot of building code is we're testing, and then all of a sudden something happens that nobody thought about, and all of a sudden we have to make a change. The current code compliance seem logical until proven illogical or new information comes.
And when we talk about the storage of lithium batteries, Ray, you work on electric cars. You never store any batteries, do you?
No.
So give me an example of someone who would be storing batteries.
Well, storage, how they're referring to the definition of storage is a storage device, meaning a battery, okay? And where its location is and what types of fire protection you need for that storage to be in the location where it's approved. The same thing is in relative to EV vehicle storage and long-term
vehicle
storage.
itself.
Yeah, the vehicle itself and different types of concerns with fire rating and distances and et cetera. Do I see these things at the moment excessive? The answer is no. Are they logical at the moment? Yes.
So I can chime in. So I used to have a supplier that supplied batteries, rebuilt batteries, that was in Westminster. It's no longer there because the whole strip center burnt down because of his.
Oh, he
battery.
was the cause of it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Now I got to go to Sam Demas instead of Westminster.
No.
Oh yeah.
With
Oh
the
yeah.
sup-
Well, they had battery caught on fire.
I'm thinking about guys like Kenny's Auto, where J-Day has several storage lots. Now, does he have to preclude bringing an electric car in there? Because it's ordinarily
No,
internal combustion.
A car is no different than a car on a car lot with a battery or.
But I
in your
mean,
yard-
we're
in your
developing
yard.
different
Yeah.
requirements.
A car is fine. It's
All right, so
it's
if
not
you
gonna
store an
catch on
electric
no-
car, it's not a danger.
Yeah, it's not going to catch on no fire as often as a regular gas car.
Well, I just wondered
Yeah, it's-
how,
yeah.
how
not
precise
being-
we have to be with this
Yeah.
stuff.
But anything can happen, it's just.
Yeah, batteries have their hazards,
Yeah.
whether they're lithium or nitric acid. They all have their concerns. And I think right now the code is addressing them to the best of its ability with not being too restrictive and too unrealistic at the moment.
Have they got better technology to help put the battery out of, once it's caught fire? I know that's a whole, another concern. We have a fire now, how do we deal with it?
I can only relate to the simple fact that I use a lot of lithium batteries in all the remote control airplanes and things that I fly, right? And we charge them in bags, okay?
Right.
For that very reason. How they put them out is smothering and chemicals, and that hasn't changed to my knowledge. We could ask the new fire chief, the current fire chief, for any advice on that, but I'm unaware.
Well, I've seen them take wreckers and pull a car off a freeway, said, we're just gonna let it burn for 2 days, because we can't deal with it.
They melt things down, without a doubt. So I think where the building code is going with this is in the right direction. But can I assure you that it's 100%? The answer is no. I can't do that. But I think they're moving the right. I think I think the fact that working with me the short period of time, you see, I'm all about balance, and I'm trying to balance the needs of the constituents and public safety and business and all those things. And when I look at this at the moment, it appears to have some balance to it, and we still have, as a building official, and the fire chief and fire marshal, quite a bit of control.
The overarching picture here is you're adopting as these codes change over time, periodically you all adopt updates to those codes as the world changes around them. That's what you're doing here. This is a regular update to the overarching codes. We're simply adopting the new standards that we would otherwise be adopting later in the year. Usually we're adopting them now.
And the batteries are just one little part of
One little part
everything
of
we're
this,
adopting.
right.
Mayor, I have a question. Since we're talking about fire and the fire chief, with all these updates, Alan, will there be any change in the designation, the duties, authority of the fire chief?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Thank you.
I think you should work Saturdays.
And Sunday.
Who says he doesn't?
That's why I said Sundays too. There you go. Oh, speaking of the fire chief.
Look at that.
We don't know how that got in.
I just want you to know this presentation was fire chief approved.
You look like a war hero up there.
All right.
So if there's not any other questions, the recommendation,
Mr.
Victor?
Mayor, I have
Oh,
questions,
okay.
yes.
I didn't know I interrupted you at the end. Go ahead.
No, you're
Mr.
good.
Sanchez.
Thank you. First of all, Alan, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work you're doing and your team, and for the rest of the entire team. So I have a couple of items, nothing major, just a couple of points of clarification, really, and then maybe some dialogue. With regards to section, page 10 of 31, section 105.6, expiration, can you elaborate or provide some additional insight as to how does this code differ from the state or from what would traditionally be? Are we more lenient, more stringent? I'm just curious.
You said page 10?
Page
He's
10?
on page 14.
Oh, page 14 of the report, I
Page
apologize.
It's page 14.
Up top, it says page 10,
Oh. I was like,
Oh.
what's your bottom?
but the bottom is 14, I'm
14.
sorry.
I was like,
page
I'm not on
14.
that same page.
Okay. So actually, when you read the code, with regard to specifics, specifics are such as every permit that has been issued is good for 12 months.
Right.
Okay? And an inspection has to happen in the first 12 months. Okay? That's
Right.
where this is. Can an extension be granted? The answer is yes. Is the code book reads it's actually 90 days, not 120.
Okay.
I mean 180.
So we're being more lenient.
We're a little bit more lenient on that specific issue, okay, as far as extensions granted, but they're all under the preview with just cause.
Of course.
The language is quite clear. So I'm going to say we are a little bit more lenient on timing.
Okay, so the state says 90 days, and we're saying 180.
The state kind of does successive 90-day periods is what it gives options to, okay?
To be clear, the 180 days is after work has commenced. So you have 12 months to pull or to begin work, and then from there, once you begin work, every 180 days, you have to have some kind of inspection, some kind of work done.
That is where we are. The code is 90. Actually, it's 180, excuse me.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Great. Like I said, I just point of clarification, just wanted to understand that, make sure that what direction we were leaning in on that. I only say that because I can, as we all know, projects are there's always some kind of a delay or some kind of a mishap with materials or things of that nature, and the way things are is just, anyways, you answered my question. Second question is regards to Board of Appeals. Is it standard practice for the Board of Appeals to be comprised of the city council, or have you seen in other practices, I'm gonna lean on you as the expert, have you seen in other cities or other practices where the Board of Appeals, that's page 28, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, on the Board of Appeals, have you seen it where it is comprised of more experts, meaning the planning director, the building official, and the city manager, just for an example? I'm not saying.
So
that's
it
what
depends
should
on
be.
it depends on the type of appeal. The state does lay down guidelines of specific types of appeals of decisions where there are required professionals.
Right.
So it depends on what kind of decision is being appealed. In generally speaking, the types of issues that I have seen in the last 10 months, and by spending quite a bit of time around the city, driving around, I don't see a necessary need for that. I think that at the moment, the city council can fill that stead. I think when you get a specific situation where a professional is needed, I will immediately let you know that, and you guys, the council can make a decision and I will provide you with the state guidelines. So that, I think, gives you a good latitude.
So that's the best type of practice that you've seen, in your opinion?
I would say I recommend that,
You
yeah.
recommend that? Okay. All right, very good. Again, just
And
clarification.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I can tag team on that particular observation.
Hello, Mr.
I've
Berger.
seen, hello, good morning. I apologize for not being there physically. I've seen one appeal in 30 years to a construction appeals board, and for that appeal, we had to actually reconstruct the construction appeals board because 3 members had died. So I simply point out that it's highly unusual for these appeals ever to go to an appeals board.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Berger, for
And
that.
if I can just chime in,
Yes,
nothing
please.
prevents city council from, let's say, hiring an expert to be to give testimony on behalf of the council or give advice to the council.
Yeah, that's
If
kind of
that
what
were to
Alan was
happen.
saying.
Right.
Perfect. Okay, great. Again, just asking some questions. The last one is related to in yours opinion and in Beth's opinion, what do you believe out of this shall be important to communicate as quickly as possible to our residents, our development community, you know, so that they are informed of the changes and things of that nature, and just so that we kind of help mitigate, you know, as much confusion as possible come January 1st?
Councilmember Sanchez, so I think in terms of the changes, I think Alan's kind of explained that they're pretty moderate in nature, but the biggest change is when the codes become effective, which is January 1st, 2026. And it happens every 3 years. We post notices at our counter, we inform constituents ahead of time. Come January 1st, 2026, you're subject to a new code cycle. So there is a stipulation in the ordinance that says if you submit prior to January 1st, you're still subject to the 2022 codes, but you have 90 days to pull your permit. And I think that's the biggest message that we need to get across is that people that are in the pipeline right now really need to get their permits, 90 days from the effective date, which is by April, they'll have to pull their permits if they're under the 2022 codes, or they're subject to now the
Perfect.
2025
So I would
codes.
recommend that we definitely include some external communications to the general public, right? Because there are people out there who are dreaming or doing something or working with something with an architect to submit, and they don't pay attention to this stuff. So I think if it's only one person that we help, but at the end of the day, we communicate it as much as possible. I would say is in your opinion, Ms. Oba, 90 days actually sufficient for someone who submits
I think
prior
so,
to the deadline?
because that gives us plenty of opportunity to go through at least 2 to 3 plan checks,
Okay.
and that's usually what it takes to get through plan check is either 2 or 3 submittals.
Very good.
So I think that's more than enough time, especially if they submitted well in advance of the January 1st date.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you. That concludes all my comments and questions, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Nope.
And Mr. Mayor, just to be clear, if this item goes forward, you'll have an urgency ordinance on your next council meeting, your September 22nd council meeting, not Monday night, obviously. So these codes would take effect these ordinances would take effect before September 30th. The codes take effect in January. Does that make sense? So I just want to make clear that this would make these ordinances effective September 30th.
All right, what's your,
Are you still gonna have a presentation or?
No, I think
That was
what is
it.
He
That
was
was
Oh, I have more questions. I thought you were gonna have another
Okay.
presentation. Can I
yeah,
ask?
I would just,
Yeah.
I held them up right at the last slide,
I know.
second to
I
last
thought
slide,
there's
I
more
think.
presentation. Okay.
That's why that's weird.
Oh, okay.
All that's left is the recommendation, and once again, showing our fire
Yeah.
chief's stamp of approval.
Should
Yeah.
we also make sure that the fire chief is required to complete certain number of hours of field training and actual work to just make sure that he is prepared, or he or she is prepared, adequately equipped?
Burst.
Versed. Thank you.
So I have a question. In terms of the audit for self-certification,
Yes.
Can you describe to me the process of what's being done, the frequency, to what extent, at what point is the audit being done for self-certification?
So the self-certification process hasn't changed in general from our original discussions about it, but to reiterate, they submit all documentation, but what is required, two things are required before we will actually route our plans and route everything and start a review. First, we need the declarations and the documentation from the architect and the engineer that they're taking responsibility from building and safety. Because what it is, it's very important that the other departments know that this is a self-certification process. They realize that building is actually taking a step back, and so
Yeah,
the community.
I think you described to us already about certification, but my question is, if you can walk us through the process of the audit itself. What do you do with the audit? How often do you do the audit? At what point do you do the audit?
Oh, okay. So, if I understand what you're talking about, as soon as we get it, we do a plan check. Are you talking about building doing an additional overview plan check of the self-certification? Is that what we're talking
No,
about?
my question is on page 18, audits of certification, number 11.
Excuse me just a sec.
Audits.
Okay, so the word that it's using audit is the review. I'm swapping words here, and I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, so once somebody submits everything, I do a quick cursory look. All right, that's technically the audit, but then we do a full review once we bring it in with the documents and they've paid their fee. Then we actually do a full plan review.
Oh, you still do the plan review?
Oh,
full,
absolutely,
okay.
without
Okay.
question.
Okay.
And the reason is the inspector is not an engineer, nor is he an architect, all right? And if we see problems within the project, our role is to address them. We, as a courtesy, will contact the applicant and say, hey, we've done a review of this project. If you would like comments, of where there could be issues, where we're going to be looking at this project during the process, we'll gladly provide those to you. We are not expecting a response. We are not expecting or requiring any to move forward. You're moving forward per the municipal code, per what has been approved.
Okay.
But it's a courtesy.
Okay.
And we're doing that really quick.
Okay.
And this
And you do that on all the self-certification plans, all of them?
Every single one.
Okay, good.
This is
That's
something
good to
we've
know.
had a number of questions about when, of late, maybe the last 6 months or so, as we've had a lot of questions about our self-certification program being as forward-thinking as you all have been. This is a question that people have brought up to us when they've asked about this program, is how do you do that plan check review? And our answer has been exactly what Alan said. We still do our standard process. Our building department and our teams review that set of plans. What we're giving that applicant is the ability to move forward while we're doing that.
Okay,
Basically, they're
that's
proceeding
good.
at their own risk,
Okay.
which they seem to like. It seems to be successful, and we still get to ensure that that building is ultimately built safely and appropriately in conformance with the code. So I think it's a win-win
win-win, yeah,
situation. That they
absolutely,
get to
yeah.
move forward, and we get to still do what we're required to do.
Okay, that's good to know.
So you're
And-
just given a chance of, hey, I want to give you a heads up, you may want to relook at this area of the plan.
Correct, because we don't want to stop jobs. We want to help jobs get done.
And my next question is on page 21, just for a point of clarification, on 111.4, the TCO, temporary occupancy. Is there any time limit for that?
Well, a temporary occupancy is usually determined by the building official given the situation which it applies to.
So there's no standard kind of maximum number of days?
Between temporary and final?
Yeah,
Temporary occupancy time.
Because it doesn't mention here
Yeah.
at all.
I'm going to defer
okay.
to my senior here on
Because
this.
I was wondering if there's no mention about.
This is Tony Weimholt.
Hi, Tony.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Okay, is it on? Okay. So typically, it depends on the project. We would generally give 90 days or maybe 180 days, depending on what it is and what the use is. Say it's a restaurant, and they have everything done, and it's ready to occupy, and there's some little minor thing that may not be done that we still need to be done, and we'd say, okay, well, we're going to give you 30 days to get this done because it's insignificant. You should be able to get it done next week. So we would do a 30-day temp CBO.
But there's no overall cap, for example, like 6 months, 1 year. So it depends on a
I
case-by-case
would
basis?
never recommend doing a really more than 180-day
Okay,
time frame.
all right.
Because then everybody's going to forget about it.
Exactly, that's my
And
point.
then it will
Okay.
never get done. So we try to keep it on a leash, per
Okay.
se, so that, get it accomplished. And because at the end, we come to that, say, 90-day time frame, and there's some issue that's still not done. We have the ability to say, okay, we can give you another 30 days, or we can give you another 90 days. I mean, it depends on where the project's at and
okay.
what's happening with it, and how aggressively they're attempting to make the corrections that need to be done.
Okay. Based on your experience, what's the most number of days you've given?
180 days,
6 months, okay.
and I mean, that was for it was a temporary event at a market, and they were, it was a promotion they were trying to do, and we did an initial 90 days, and then it got extended for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
pretty much what it was.
And that seems to be reasonable, 6 months.
I think 6 months is on the outside.
On the outside, yeah, I was kind of wondering, it's not temporary anymore beyond that.
Because what you're really trying to do is give them time to finish what they didn't quite get
Mm-hmm.
done, but obviously, the city wants the business, so
Mm-hmm.
we want them to be in business. Is it safe? Yes. They just have a few little things they need to correct. Okay, we can give you a temp CFO.
Mhm. Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
Only to add to that, I think on average, it's usually between 45 and 90 days on average. It's common with like parking restriping, several outside, or they're waiting for a component. So in general, the average is somewhere in there. Okay, but like Tony was saying, it depends on how extensive and what it is and what the wait time is or what the problem is.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. And
Commercial only. As in far as a temporary occupancy? Well, where we're going to have this issue and where we do and where I've actually held back is R.2.1. We're talking assisted living things. That's where we're going to hold a pretty hard line and treat it as if it's commercial.
and
Oh, my God.
yeah, exactly. That crossed my mind when I was reading this. And one more thing, city manager, maybe planning director. We talked during the budget session, we talked about the comprehensive fee schedule. When do you plan on bringing it to the council?
Yeah, we're currently in the process of getting a study completed.
Okay.
So it's probably going to be at least 3 months or so.
2 months, okay, sometime this year.
Because we're re-looking at all of our permit fees
Okay.
and potentially creating new fees.
Okay, yeah, okay. Very good, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Any other questions get drawn out? Yeah, see?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I'll see this.
Page 24, I'm really glad the Mayor Pro Tem brought up other questions because I missed this one. Page
it's your
24,
fault.
section 116, unsafe structures and buildings. Is there anything here that we could be amending? And I'm looking to both Mr. Berger and Alan, our building official here. As we all know, we've had incidents or there's been concerns of specific habitable buildings within the city and the community. And I just wanted to see, since this is before us now, if there's any type of language here that we should be considering to for lack of a better word, providing more teeth to our building official to, enforce more of the red tags and enforce more of those, investigations and things that help us bring buildings to code. And more.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll jump in on this one. This is actually an addition that's a local amendment to the building code. And this is not standard as part of the California Building Standards Code. So this is the teeth. The state code actually doesn't define red tag, yellow tag, or any of those types of things. So we've actually had a very robust local amendment with regard to giving additional powers to the building official. You may recall when the cannabis permitting came about, we also put in provisions which are also in this code with regard to shutting off power and taking out water and what have you from illegal structures based upon the building official's determination. So I think we have a very robust regulation that allows the building code or building official to have quite a lot of authority actually to take action with regard to unsafe buildings.
Understood. Is there any additional though language that we could add here, or how can we beef it up? I just want to make sure that we don't find ourselves in another position where, certain actions we weren't able to take certain actions. I get what you're saying though, Carl.
I don't think that off the top of my head, usually I insert things that I think are desirable, and I can't think of anything that we would add that would really substantively provide additional authority that's lacking at the moment. I think this is, like I said, quite robust. We've given quite a lot of authority to the building official for doing things. Now, based upon the circumstances of any particular case, obviously, whether or not that authority is exercised is a different question. I always use the Spider-Man analogy with regard to great power comes great responsibility. So the exercise of that authority is important.
Very good. I thought I'd just raise the concern or the item up to our attention.
You didn't have an example that you
I don't
wanted
have
to
an
share.
example.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I wish I did, but I don't. Or a specific example of buildings or issues?
No, to your
Oh,
question.
The power.
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I was hoping that I would lean on Carl.
Well,
I was
hopefully
hoping he
this
would
is
say,
all-
"Well, you know what? We thought about this, but we didn't add it. If you really want to, we'll add it."
It sounds like building and Carl, our attorney, was together on this staff report.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good overall. I mean, it's good. Like I said, I just thought I'd ask. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Any other questions drawn out?
Victor's the only builder up here, self-inflicted possibilities.
I thought that's why I said maybe he had an example.
I mean, that's more for what I'm bringing up right now in the last comment is more for, old dilapidated buildings. And, where tenants are still occupying and things of that nature. And I know we have some of those buildings where we've seen code enforcement cases or,
Virginia and Artesia.
I was trying to name locations, but yes, where, we felt like our hands were tied. Even though there was a clear, we all see, we saw what we saw, and it's like, how can someone be living in that situation, And yet, we felt that the response was not sufficient, and so that's why I'm saying here is the time if there's something we could add. But no, I don't have examples of what we can add.
Okay. All right. So what's your pleasure, ladies and gentlemen?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the City Council of Bellflower to read by title only, which was done earlier by the city manager, waive further reading and introduce ordinance number 1449 and set a public hearing for September 22, 2025 for second reading and possible adoption.
Gotcha.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, is that clear enough for the city attorney?
All right.
Thumbs up, he says.
Okay,
All right.
good.
I like how you said, read into the record by the city manager, because that was a lot
Yes,
of reading.
exactly. I don't want to repeat it.
A lot of code.
And he did very well,
Yeah.
except
Okay.
especially the wetlands.
We got a motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem Santa Ynez and a second by Coops. Call roll.
Councilmember Coop.
Yeah, Councilmember Coops.
Councilmember Sanchez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Mayor Dutton.
Aye. Okay, we made it through the agenda, and I'll call for a adjournment at 9:53.
Thank you all.
Bye, Carl.